Okay, this is a reaction video. Top 10 states everyone is moving to America in 2022. This is from the name of on the channel is From Here to There. I'm kind of curious to see where everybody's moving, assuming they are moving. It is very expensive in the United States nowadays. But let's see. Top 10 states everyone is moving to in America in 2022 in the United States. Please click like, share, and subscribe. And for those of you who've done that, I really, really appreciate it. Let's see what this brings us.
Are you looking for a place to plant new roots? Or maybe this is the year you finally decide to uproot yourself and move to a new state. Either way, you'd be in the minority, as most Americans actually want to stay put. Yeah, while the pandemic inspired a mass exodus from big cities to smaller cities and towns in 2020, things really slowed down in 2021 with the least amount of people changing residences in nearly 75 years.
And I don't think a lot of people are going to be moving this time, but it is interesting to see where people are going to go in the coming year.
But who cares about that? Because it's 2022 now, which means new year, new move. And if you're like this cow who wants to move, but has no idea where to start, well, there's got to be a reason everyone's moving to this.
I recommend not going to California. That's one place I do recommend. But it seems like one of the places that I would imagine most people are moving to, I'm going to guess here, is Florida.
States on this list. So let's move on to the 10 states that everyone is moving to in 2022. And let's hit 5,000 likes if you want to see a video on the states that Americans are leaving in 2022.
Yeah, hit a like on that. I'm interested in that. I'll do that.
Number 10. Rhode Island. Rhode Island may be the smallest state by total area, but most of that land must be pretty desirable, as it also has the second highest population density. Now, this one literally came out of nowhere, as people had been fleeing the ocean state for years, and most of the states that people moved to in 2021 were among the least densely populated. But with beautiful beaches, no crime, and tons of charming historic towns, Rhode Island's pretty underrated.
I've never been to Rhode Island, and it's kind of ironic that they call it an island when it really isn't an island. But I did know a girl who was from Rhode Island about 10, 15 years ago, and she really spoke well of it. And it's a place I'd like to visit one of these days.
Especially since the economy is booming. The median household income...
Which economy is... If it's booming there, that's great, but it's certainly not booming in the United States.
Grew by 8.7% just this past year to $71,200. So it makes sense that 36% of newcomers moved here for a job. And over half of newcomers are also making more than $150,000 a year. So while the median home value of $398,000 isn't exactly cheap, it's likely not an issue for them. Plus, it's still a heck of a lot cheaper than neighboring Massachusetts, where the vast majority of new residents moved from. But even though 59.1% of total moves here in 2021 were inbound migration, the population of nearly 1.1 million actually decreased by 0.2% due to natural decrease, aka when the total number of deaths is greater than the amount of new births. Number 9. Idaho. What? But you keep telling...
Yeah, and this is something that World According to Briggs has showed too, that a lot of people from California are moving to Idaho, and Idaho is a really appealing state. My sister was there last year and really, really enjoyed it.
Idaho's the fastest growing state. How come it's only number 9? Well, you see, it is the fastest growing state with an estimated population increase of 3.4% just this past year. But since most of the people moving in are coming from states with much higher incomes like California and Washington, the cost of living has also skyrocketed to the point where it's just no longer affordable for locals. Now, sure, the economy...
And that's something that World According to Briggs also talked about, is that people aren't happy that people from California are moving to Idaho or Washington, because those are states that are very expensive to live in, and they're moving there to get away from that, but they're bringing it along with them.
Economy is growing fast too, with 7.8% wage growth last year. But it's not growing near fast enough, as the median household income is still only $61,000, while the median home cost ballooned by 34% over the past 12 months to $452,000. So while the sheer amount of new residents might make you think Idaho would be higher on the list, just 60.4% of total moves in the Gem State last year were inbound migration, as many locals were also forced to leave. But can you really blame people who can afford it for wanting to live here? Boise's pretty much the definition of a perfect city. There is so much beautiful untouched nature, and it's the third safest state.
How are we doing, guys? We're all about to die. You said this, but...
Number 8, Oregon. Idaho's coastal neighbor just barely eked out.
We're 3 for 3 on states that I've never been to. I've never been to Rhode Island, and I've never been to Idaho, and I've never been to Oregon. But it's interesting that people are moving to Oregon. Again, this is probably people leaving California.
The higher spot on this list, with 60.5% of total moves in the state being inbound migration. But while almost no one moved to Idaho for jobs, 44% of new Oregon residents said their primary reason for moving was for a job, which is understandable considering the thriving economy in the Silicon Forest, aka the Portland, Beaverton, Hillsborough area, where the median household income is a whopping $78,500. And while the media likes to paint the place as if it's an Antifa war zone, if you avoid downtown, Portland is still as artsy as ever, with...
And that's probably the same thing in a lot of cities. If you hear about the Antifa war zone, and it was true, it was, if you just use common sense and avoid those places, then you'll be all right.
So much character and literally the best food and beer in the country. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if people moved there solely for the food. It's that good. And no matter where in Oregon you move to, you'll be surrounded by stunning scenery. From the Rogue River Valley to the volcanoes in Crater Lake to the Painted Hills, magically rugged coastline, and so many water.
A friend of mine actually talked about this year possibly flying out to out there and into Idaho, and then driving over into Oregon, but we never got allowed to it because it's too expensive.
Waterfalls. The Beaver State is one of the most geographically diverse. Sure, it's also gotten expensive with a median home cost of $486,000. But compared to California or Washington, where over half of the newcomers are moving from, it's actually pretty affordable.
Yeah, these previous 2 states, these last 2 states, Idaho and Oregon, don't surprise me because they're people leaving California and Washington.
Number 7, Tennessee. With a violent crime rate 506% above the national average.
Now, this is the first state that I actually have been to. I've been to Tennessee quite a few times, and if things work out, I might be visiting it at the end of August. But Tennessee is a beautiful state, a gorgeous state. I've been through Nashville and stayed a couple days in Memphis. And while Memphis wasn't the nicest place that I've ever been to, but I still enjoyed driving through Tennessee. It was a really beautiful state.
Memphis just surpassed St. Louis for the title of most dangerous city in America.
I say it there, it comes out here.
And Tennessee overall is the 3rd most dangerous state. Heck, even Nashville, the one actual good place to live here with a great economy, has a violent crime rate 200% above the national average. But that hasn't stopped people from moving here and...
And just so for the record, there's more to Tennessee than Nashville and Memphis. In fact, Nashville is on the east side of the state, and you have to drive 3 hours to get to Memphis, which is on the west side of the state, close to the Mississippi River. So there's a whole slew of places right between there, which are perfectly fine.
Droves, as 62% of total moves in the state last year were inbound ones, resulting in an overall population growth of 0.9%. Then again, considering that nearly 40% of newcomers said they moved here for the lifestyle or to retire, maybe they're all just adrenaline junkies who love the feeling of danger because the state is also smack dab in the middle of the new Tornado Alley. Or maybe they just like the Great Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, I think it's probably the second one. I don't think they want to get in the middle of Tornado Alley. But a lot of people go down to the Gatlinburg area, Pigeon Forge, and that's a very touristy area that a lot of people really, really enjoy.
Yeah, that one probably makes more sense since most of the people moving here are coming from Florida or Texas, which are both pretty flat. And while the median home cost of $264,000 may seem somewhat affordable compared to most of the country, it's also going up fast while the median household income is still just $56,000 with very little economic opportunity outside of Nashville. But hey, at least there's no state income tax. Number 6, Alabama. Alabama consists...
Okay, so far, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5, whatever it is, Yeah, 1 out of 5. Uh, I've never been to Rhode Island, never been to Idaho, never been to Oregon, and I've never been to Alabama, but I have been to Tennessee, so I'm 1 out of 5. Alabama in the South. A lot of people enjoy Alabama because it's in the South. You get a little bit better weather. It still gets cold down there, but I know some people who really, my brother-in-law enjoyed Alabama a great deal.
Instantly makes our worst states to live in lists. So why in the world is it the 6th most moved to state? Well, considering that 45.4% of people who moved here said they did so for a job, the answer is
Yeah, employment.
Huntsville. That's right, the one city in Alabama that doesn't suck is actually a pretty great place to live with a diversified economy and a median household income of 67 grand, which might be just slightly above the US average of 65 grand, but compared to the statewide median household income of just 51 grand, it's incredible. And considering that many of the states people are moving here from are even more impoverished, like Louisiana or Mississippi, for them, even the rest of Alabama probably doesn't seem that bad. But if you're not from Louisiana or Mississippi, don't be fooled by the cheap cost of living, because it's not worth the years that living here will take off your life. Alabama actually has the second lowest life expectancy at just 74.9 years, which makes sense as it also has the third highest obesity rate.
Well, that's not very nice to take this picture of this nice lady and talk about obesity. But every state has its charm and every state has its drawbacks. I don't think there's anything wrong with Alabama. I mean, there may be people who disagree with me on that, and let me know in the comments below. But like I said, my brother-in-law's been down there. He enjoyed it. I think my sister's been down there. She enjoyed it as well. So, and I have I know a couple people who've been through Alabama and enjoyed it. So it is what it is. But I mean, I don't think you need to be talking about obesity rates.
And 4th worst healthcare outcomes. So even though 62.1% of total moves in the state last year were inbound migration, the overall population growth was just 0.3% due to natural decrease. Number 5, Florida.
I thought this was going to be number 1, but now it's number 5. A lot of people from New York moved down to Florida, and a lot of people just move there. And it's usually to retire in the weather. I mean, the joke about Florida is they call it God's waiting room. But Florida is a real nice state to visit and a nice state to live. My parents live down there.
Considering how many people are moving to Florida, it may very well be the next Texas. Because 62.3% of total moves in the state last year were inbound migration, resulting in a population growth of 1.1%, despite it already being the 3rd largest state with nearly 22 million residents. But while most newcomers to Texas moved for the affordable cost of living and booming economies of the cities, people of all ages and walks of life are moving to the Sunshine State for all sorts of reasons.
Most notably the sunshine.
One of which may be that despite the ongoing pandemic, Florida has remained open with life largely unchanged.
And this is clearly done after the pandemic. This was put up on February of 2022. So the pandemic has since been, in my opinion, over. But I love Florida.
Throughout 2021. Now, this could be a pro or con depending on your views, but either way, 27% of newcomers said they moved here for the lifestyle, while 39% said they moved here to retire. And who wouldn't want to live out their best years with year-round warm weather, great multicultural cities, and nearly 1,000 miles of pristine white sand beaches? Especially since the majority of new residents are coming from New York, where the cost of living is much higher, the winters are much colder, and the restrictions are much more strict.
And the other reason why they're also moving down to Florida, I'll tell you, and I don't know if this is a reason, let me just rephrase that. The next president of the United States might be coming from Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis. And this is not me getting political. This is just an opinion. Right now, Ron DeSantis is probably, him and Donald Trump are probably going to be running in 2024. And Ron DeSantis might actually be the next president of the United States.
Number 4, West Virginia. Wait, isn't West Virginia the...
I apart from the funny noises coming from his voice, which I certainly am never going to do, West Virginia, I just drove through West Virginia a couple weeks ago, and West Virginia is one of the prettiest states. I wouldn't be surprised if people move down there for the beauty of it. But West Virginia is a really, really nice state, really, really beautiful state.
Fastest shrinking state? How the heck did it make this list? Okay, so yeah, West Virginia had been the fastest shrinking state for most of the past decade. But a huge part of that was due to natural decrease. What can I say? West Virginians just aren't having kids, and the increasingly aging population is, well, increasingly aging, while also not living very long, with the average life expectancy under 75 years. And sure, people had also been fleeing the state due to high poverty and literally no economic opportunity. But that's also made it dirt cheap, with by far the lowest median home values in the nation at just $122,000. So since the nature here is still as gorgeous as ever, many outdoors lovers who can work remotely have finally started moving in, especially since other mountain states like Colorado, Utah, or New Hampshire have gotten ridiculously expensive. So while West Virginia was still the 7th fastest shrinking state in 2021 with a net population loss of 0.6%, 63% of statewide moves were actually inbound ones. And I wouldn't...
Yeah, West Virginia, ooh, that guy's wearing a Columbus Crew shirt. I support the Columbus Crew. Nice, good place to stop there. But I really, really enjoy West Virginia for what it is. I'm certainly not going to move there, but I can certainly understand why people would, despite what he's saying here. Like I said, I thought it was a very beautiful and very pretty state.
Wouldn't be surprised if that trend continues throughout the next decade as more and more people discover the place. In fact, Lonely Planet just ranked West Virginia as its number 2 travel destination in the world for 2022.
That's interesting.
Number 3, South Carolina.
Now, I did live in South Carolina for 2 years. I lived in Somerville. Did not care much for Somerville, South Carolina, but I know a lot more. I'm certainly in the minority there. A lot of people loved South Carolina. A lot of people love the Carolinas in general. One of the most popular destinations is the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But I can certainly see why people would be moving to South Carolina.
South Carolina is exploding. Well, not literally, but last year it had the 3rd highest percentage of inbound migration at 63.3% of total moves, and it was the 4th fastest growing state overall with a net population gain of 1.4%. Just because a lot of people are moving somewhere, however, does not necessarily make it a great place to live, as the quality of life as a whole here just isn't very good outside of Hilton Head or Charleston, which, to be fair, is a great small city. Both of those places have gotten really expensive though, and while the Greenville and Columbia areas are also decent enough, there's a huge division of wealth between the cities, which are open to change, and the rural parts of the state, which are severely impoverished. As such, South Carolina is actually among the bottom 10 states in most categories that matter, including having the 9th highest poverty rate, 7th worst schools, and 5th highest crime rate. But if you don't need a job, can't afford Florida, and are just looking to join the 36.6% of newcomers who moved here to retire, Myrtle Beach is one of the most affordable beach towns.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is a place where a lot of people go for vacation. And again, like I said, the Carolinas are beautiful areas, okay? And despite what he's saying here about this, that, and the other things, you can find in every state in the United States a good place to live, a good place that's safe and affordable. But there's some states which are just completely unaffordable. I mean, they're actually cheaper places to live in California. And in fact, I'm going to do a video on that sometime soon. But when it comes to living in the United States, all these states don't surprise me because I don't see California there. I don't see New York on here. Those are 2 of the most expensive places, but they're also 2 of the places where most of the foreign travel goes to. That's what they want to see. They want to see New York. They want to see California. They want to see Los Angeles.
In the country. Number 2, South Dakota.
South Dakota, I was just there last year. I think I've said in other videos. Very, very beautiful state, but very, very rural state as well.
If you've never been to South Dakota, you're probably wondering why so many people are moving to a seemingly uneventful state in the middle of nowhere, with 68.6% of total moves here being inbound migration. But if you have ever visited the home of the Black Hills and Badlands, you can probably see why. Sure, it's rarely talked about, but objectively, the Mount Rushmore state is a great place to live. Sioux Falls is one of the best small cities with great affordability and a booming economy. So it makes sense that 32.6% of newcomers newcomers moved here for a job. And considering that the state is the 5th least densely populated with so much breathtaking nature, in addition to also being pretty darn cheap with no state income tax and a median home value of just $264,000, it's no surprise that 46% of new residents said their primary reason for moving here was for the lifestyle, to retire, or for...
The only drawback, this isn't really a drawback. This is just, if you've ever been to South Dakota, if you're going east across the state or west across the state, you're going to run into these billboards, which will, and there'll be like so many of them. If you try to count them all, I think you get tired after 50 or 60 until you get to Wall's Drugstore. There's a place called Wall's Drugstore. I went there just to say I've been to Wall's Drugstore in South Dakota. Okay, from my perspective, I wasn't too impressed. Okay, but a lot of people go there. There's a lot to do there. A lot of people have different opinions than I do. You can actually look it up. But that's one of the things. My only drawback was Wall's driving to all these billboards to go to Wall's, go to Wall's. Okay, I go to Wall's. But that's, again, my opinion.
For a lower cost of living. Now, before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like and subscribe and comment which state you would want to move to the most, even if it's not on this list.
Yeah, same for me. Please click like, share, and subscribe, and please let me know if you enjoy this video, and let me know any other videos you want me to do. I appreciate that.
Without further ado, number 1. Vermont. Despite Vermonters' best...
Okay, now, I have never been to Vermont, but my girlfriend has, and she absolutely loves it. And if I were to say to her, hey, I've got, time, let's go to visit Vermont, let's go spend time in Vermont, she would have said yes before I even got the first syllable of Vermont out of my mouth. She absolutely found this place wonderful.
Best efforts to keep it a secret, the Green Mountain State has been the most moved to state for 5 years running, with an astounding 74.3% of total moves in 2021 being inbound migration. But what can I say? Once people move here and experience the incredibly high quality of life, they don't leave. And I don't blame them. The scenery is immaculate, there are so many wonderful small towns, and Burlington has an incredible economy. But if you watched my top 10 reasons why everyone is moving to Vermont video, you already knew that. And if you haven't watched it, then go watch it, because who knows, maybe you're gonna want to join all the newcomers who will likely yet again make Vermont the most moved to state of 2022.
And maybe I'll be one of those. I doubt I'm going to leave where I live. But, this was interesting. Top 10 states everyone is moving to in America in 2022. Please click like, share, and subscribe. This is from here to there. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.